Welcome to the Motley Mystic Podcast. I'm Candace Shalou. I've named this podcast and Substack the Motley Mystic because I believe truth speaks with many, sometimes motley voices. Dogmas and doctrines have crept in to make religion into a rigid thing about belief. But as a Motley Mystic, I feel spirituality should be less about belief and more about that deep knowing that we are more than these bodies, more than these thoughts, and definitely far more than our beliefs or opinions. Indeed, we're all collections of motley beliefs and ideas, and if that resonates with you, then you could be a Motley Mystic too. Here's our latest Motley Mystic post. It's called Do Your Work, Gettin Metaphysical on Labor Day. Burnout. It's a word we hear a lot these days, so much so it's almost meaningless at this point. Everyone seems burned out, stressed, or at the end of their rope, whether it's in their professional or personal life. October 2021 is when I burned out. I had been doing Jubilee Circle, the spiritual community I founded 11 years prior, basically nonstop, and coming out of COVID, we were having to rebuild our community like so many spiritual communities, and we were running short on both cash and congregants. I decided I needed a retreat. So I booked a little Airbnb officially in the middle of nowhere, South Carolina. And it wasn't like a quaint cabin. This was basically a 2-car garage with a tractor parked in one space right in front of the coffee maker and the fridge. The bedroom, and I use that term loosely, was sort of like a monastery cell, though not quite as charming. The bathroom was spacious and, as one might suspect, in a garage full of bugs. I figured it was just the place for a saintly retreat, but it was also a working farm, so the woman who ran the place was in and out all day. Not very conducive for silence and meditation. It rained most of the weekend, which prevented much outdoor time, so I just wandered the grounds when I could and talked to the horses and the dogs, but I didn't get much quiet time. Needless to say, it did nothing to cure my burnout. I was just as haggard and overwhelmed when I returned. It wasn't long afterwards, though, that I found a cure for my burnout. I came across it after going to Spirit and asking for the cure, and the Spirit's answer is always the same, and it was this time. Spirit said, "Do your work." Now, in the past, this answer has never satisfied me, mainly because I was doing work for the wrong reasons. And I realized this when I read Lesson 25 from the workbook of A Course in Miracles. It reads, "Everything is for your own best interests." That is what it is for. That is its purpose. That is what it means. It is in recognizing this that your goals become unified. It is in recognizing this that what you see is given meaning. You perceive the world and everything in it as meaningful in terms of ego goals. These goals have nothing to do with your own best interests because the ego is not you. This time, when Spirit told me do your work, I finally realized the work isn't the thing the ego wants to do. The ego gives our work, quote, purpose, which is usually wrapped up in the pursuit of money, a promotion, fame, attracting friends and lovers, or some other recognition from the world. Spirit has a different purpose for our work. It is not to win any worldly accolades. Instead, as Michael Singer says, it is to use all work as a path to spiritual growth. Singer says, just keep moving forward with what's been given to you, and you will see that each thing will unfold in its own time on its own basis. And then you commit yourself to that, then to that, and then to that, Singer says in his talk on karma yoga. All you're going to do is do what's put before you, he says. You're free to put your whole heart into it, to do the best at whatever you're doing without thought of reward or failure or anything. Now, he says, you're growing. Yes, when I realize that the ego's goals are not mine, and I have misused this idea of, quote, purpose, that's when I could finally understand A Course's insistence that, quote, it is crucial to your learning to be willing to give up the goals you have established for everything. The recognition that they are meaningless rather than good or bad is the only way to accomplish this. I had to give up the goals I had for Jubilee because, for the most part, They were ego-based. I wanted a big congregation. I wanted to be seen as a respected teacher and scholar. I wanted accolades and adoration. I wanted to be someone's beloved pastor. But that's not what Spirit means by do your work. The work we do in service to the ego is meaningless because it chases transitory and imaginary things like success and fame and fortune. The work we do in service to Spirit, however, will always be fruitful because we will put our whole heart and soul into it without asking it to give us back anything in this material world. This is how we grow spiritually. We use everything that comes to us to go back to God. We use the challenges, the joys, the sorrows, the victories, the frustrations of our work to go within and root out anything. Thoughts, beliefs, ideas, dogmas, traditions, slights, or self-doubts, anything that prevents us from being fully present to the Spirit and those around us. This is the work that matters. Do not, however, think that do your work means that your work in the world won't change over the years. In fact, I took the do your work as a sign that it was time to move on from Jubilee Circle. My work there was no longer fun or edifying, so I knew I was doing it for the wrong reasons. So last September, I retired. Since then, I have been given new work to do in the form of music, and I have always loved music. I have played guitar and written music since I was a teenager, but now I've got more time to do it again. Now, when I was younger, I had an egoic purpose for music. I wanted to be rich and famous. I wanted to be a rock star. That was not in the cards, so I dropped it like a hot potato. Now, however, I write, I play, I sing my music for one reason, because it's fun. I'm not asking it to do anything for me other than to allow me to have fun. I have put my heart and soul into it, and it is showing me places within myself that still need to be recognized, settled, and released. This is spiritual growth. Do your work doesn't mean doing the same thing over and over again. Singer assures us that Spirit has plenty of work for us to do over our lifetime. Indeed, he says, quote, each thing will unfold in its own time, on its own basis, and then you commit yourself to that, and then to that, and then to that, unquote. The great thing about realizing you can move on from things that are no longer serving your growth is this, according to Singer, who says, quote, pretty soon, not only do you have no time, but you realize that everything before you, behind you, above you, below you are given to you from God. There's no more, quote, you around here. It's all just the reflection of what life did, and you're free, unquote. What you're free from is the rat race of finding some, quote, purpose in life. Singer talks all the time about what our true purpose here is, and this is it, to take everything that comes along in life as an opportunity for spiritual growth. If your work is no longer growing you spiritually, look around because something else is emerging from within you for you to do. I invite you today, no, I am begging you, do your work. Whatever it is before you, take care of business without one single thought about its worth, its outcome, its ability to fulfill you or give you a sense of purpose. Your purpose is to do the work, because that is what Spirit has assigned you for your ultimate spiritual growth and awakening. That is the only work worth doing. Thanks for listening to the Motley Mystic Podcast. I invite you to click on the link in the show notes, leave a comment on this article. If you enjoy this podcast and the Motley Mystic Substack, please share it with your friends so they can subscribe too. The Substack is always free, and if you want to know more about me, go to CandaceChalhoub.com. That's Candace, C-A-N-D-A-C-E, and Chalhoub.com, C-H-E-L-L-E. There you'll find a link to my music and my book, Bulletproof Faith, A Spiritual Survival Guide for Gay and Lesbian Christians. Thanks again for listening, and I'll leave you with this quote from the Bhagavad Gita. Set thy heart upon thy work, but never on its reward. Work not for a reward, but never cease to do thy work. Oh yeah.